Just don't see it that way, and we're just going to have to disagree.
All right.
If the Russians would have opened up that gas pipeline, I wouldn't have owned BP the next day. Unfortunately, the Russians kept the gas pipeline in Kazakhstan or wherever it was closed, and the American financial system crashed, and they ended up holding BP through several dividend cycles. And that's how life goes. And you have to be a big boy, and you lose money and you make money in the stock market. And this year, like most Americans and most Alaskans, I've lost a whole lot more than I've gained. I'm still down 30 or 40% in all of my positions, and that's life. And,
I understand that.
And I'm a big boy about it. And but to suggest that for a few dollars that I would trade away my family name and my integrity, I mean, I guess it's fair for you to ask the question, but the answer is no. I did nothing dishonest. I am my integrity is the thing that I safeguard the most, and Conservatives for Palin, which is a hit team. They're a bunch of pit bulls.
I appreciate my integrity too, sir. I did not lie about anything that I published in that post.
Shadows,
it was all
websites in the state, and they practice shadowy, villainous behavior, and they're not allowed.
Well, I mean that's Representative Ramras. I don't think that
here, sir. You've denied nothing that I wrote.
Well, that's true. You haven't denied anything.
What do you want me to deny? That I own 3,000 shares long of BP?
You do. And
I would have sold it as a day trader the next day, but the trade went against me, and then the American financial system collapsed, and so I held the stock until I could go even on it.
You owned when you introduced that legislation.
Oh, Rebecca, you need to come spend some time in Alaska and in the state legislature. And again, you're challenging my integrity. I believe in Alaska. I think AGEA is a terrible contraption. Not the notion of bringing TransCanada and Exxon together, but the notion of these goofy, silly must-haves, and the state of Alaska spending $500 million of its precious treasury to try and get involved in something that the market is going to make happen. And, you're a journalist or a quasi-journalist or whatever you are, but AGEA does not work, and time will tell. And time will tell when it comes to that. And, my great passion is an in-state gas pipeline and the fine job that Governor Palin has done in hiring Harry Noah. When it comes to AGEA, I think it's the worst piece of legislation. I have great regret over the way that I voted, but we all thought Mid-America was going to show up.
Representative Ramras, are you questioning Ms. Mansour's integrity?
Certainly questioning her residency.
Well, why would her? I mean, if the Wall Street Journal wrote an article or some other publication wrote an article, would you question? I mean, what does that have to do with anything? I mean,
we don't know who these people are. They were on a telethon raising $150,000 for legal defense fund. This is a rogue.
But you're not disputing. Well, wait a minute, Representative Ramras. You're not disputing what they wrote. You're just disputing. You're trying to say that what they. Wait a minute.
I'm disputing the inference. I'm disputing the inference.
Right. They are creating a question of whether or not you did this for personal gain, and that is a question.
And the answer is no.
Right. I understand that. You've made that a point, but what they wrote is there's nothing inaccurate about what they've written. So therefore, the question is, did you do anything unethical? And you're saying no.
Correct.
Right.
I have followed the state's ethics rules to the letter. So and I continue to do so.
So for you to beat them up on what they wrote is really a non-starter.
They've made anti-Semitic remarks in their.
I never did that.
Back in March.
You just called me a pimp, Representative Ramras. You just called me a pimp.
Eddie, a pimp is not an ethnic slur. I think it is accurate given your unabashed reputation. And but that is certainly is not an ethnic slur. But using the word bagels when referring to Jewish people certainly is anti-Semitic in nature. And I have no use for Conservatives for Palin as a group, but I have a respect for your show and for your point of view.
Well, let Ms. Mansour get in here for a minute and counter. She said that was a lie. What was a lie, Ms. Mansour?
He was commenting on an inside joke on our website. There was a representative who at one time, at the beginning of the session, made a comment about how the governor used to bring them all bagels. And he said wistfully that she no longer does that, and he was sad about that. And we found that really ridiculous and funny. And one of the things that we wrote is buy your own darn bagels. In other words, everybody just man up and be a big person. The governor is not your mother. She doesn't have to bring you bagels or cookies or anything else.
You non-Alaskan residents have an answer for everything, but you're spreading
buy your own darn bagels.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with being Jewish.
Ethnic code words and slurs, and I have
That
no
is
use
not
for
an ethnic
conservative
code word.
feeling. I think
I happen to
you're a bunch of hitmen and you're a hate squad.
I hardly
You're
think that I
not
would be
good for the
making
state of
ethnic code
Alaska.
words.
Anybody
Yeah, go.
come on your show anytime, and I will talk to you about issues. But I do not want to.
Okay, Representative Ramras, do you think that this partnership with Exxon and TransCanada is a good one, and will you be supportive of it?
Oh, I think having Exxon suit up and come into the game is terrific for the state of Alaska. They are the most powerful organization on the face of the earth. They're the most powerful corporation. I think it's excellent that they came on board. Unfortunately, they're only on board as a minority partner in the gas treatment plant, and at such time that they're able to negotiate fiscal terms and they want to join up with TransCanada, that's the best day for Alaska for sure.
What kind of concessions do you...
I think it's a sucker's play.
What kind of concessions do you think the state needs to give to the producers in order to make it work?
I think Exxon is going to come back and want something very close to what they had under Governor Murkowski, and it's taken us 4 years to circle back around. In time value of money, that we've wasted an enormous amount of time and money getting right back to where we were under Frank Murkowski. And Exxon, as I was misquoted, or certainly the implication was different than in that article that the conservative for Palin folks wrote, is Exxon was the toughest, least flexible, most entrenched producer. And now they are the ones that are in the henhouse with this administration. And I think it's...
in the henhouse with this administration...
That's why I asked Conoco and BP on the record. I said, will Exxon be an acceptable proxy for you if the administration works out a deal for them? And I believe that that's the case.
Comment?
In the henhouse with them, does that mean that do you think there's some sort of ethical issue going on with the relationship of TransCanada and Exxon and the governor?
No, absolutely not. Exxon is just the smartest. They're the smartest and they're the best.
So so they're the smartest and they're the best. Does that mean that the Denali project is predicted to fail?
I don't think so.
Well, if Exxon's the smartest, then they're doing the smartest thing. Then that must mean that the Denali project is the dumbest thing.
But they haven't done anything yet, Eddie. All they've done is come in a minority partnership for a gas treatment plant, which is 10% of the scope of a project. And they've said we can't go forward until there's fiscal certainty. And that takes us right back to where we were in Centennial Hall.
Right.
With
So do you think Murkowski's plan was probably the better plan of the two?
No, I would have voted against that also. But Murkowski went with the producers, and Governor Palin went with a third-party independent plan. I thought we had a better shot of trying to get hooked up with the producers and take up where the Stranded Gas Development Act left off. I mean, I voted for Governor Palin. I believed in what she was doing initially. I voted for AGIA. I thought Mid-America was going to come to the table. But when you get a lousy bunch of applicants, and you have to seed them with when there isn't a good competition.
You think TransCanada is a lousy pipeline builder?
Oh no, they're an exceptional.
Well, you said a lousy bunch of applicants. I mean, TransCanada was the winning bidder, sir.
Yes, they were.
So, then you must think that
there was no other qualified.
I mean, they're one of the largest pipeline builders in the world.